I had just been deposited there, along with my good friend Larry, by the Big Bear Police Department. And so the director of the camp was waiting for us, took us in to do what I assumed was going to be send us home. To say I was an adventurous teenager is an understatement. You have to understand that my adoptive parents who raised me did the best they could. But when I was 16, they were 60. That usually happens. Younger people give up babies and older people adopt them. So their parenting skills weren't honed very well. And the representation that I had of a father and a mother was somewhat flawed. But praise God, they let me go to church and let me pick out the church that I wanted to go to. Went to this Presbyterian church, and that's how I ended up at the Presbyterian camp. So I was called into the office, and this big guy, I mean big guy, sat me down and started talking to me. As soon as he did, I could sense there was something different. He moved over to the seat next to me, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And I sensed the comforting and yet strong hand of God the Father. I'd never had another man put his hand on my shoulder and his arm around me as this man did. Now, some of you know this man. He was a star football player at UCLA, pastor of the Bel Air Presbyterian Church. He was a flawed man later in life, but who here isn't flawed? But God.MOV, in that moment, showed me the Father heart of God. And I sensed the presence of what is the subject of our message today, faith for tough times. There's two areas. One is enduring through the tough times. Faith for endurance. The second is faith for discipline. And that's what Don was doing with me. Instruction, warning, and correction. But instead of sending us home, you let us stay in camp. There were some corrective measures that he put in force. But instead of sending us home, he let us work it out. By the end of that camp, I was an on fire, charged up 16-year-old for Christ. Because of a man that was courageous enough to show me the loving hand of God the Father. So let's look at faith for tough times in this great passage of Hebrews.